I'm 57th in the world on FPL points in the last 5 seasons. In this video, I'm going to reveal how I pick my successful teams. I'm also going to include useful resources such as captaincy matrix, fixture difficulty rating split between attack and defence, plus I'm going to tell you the best £4 million defenders for your team. Starting with the two most expensive players in the game, Salah and Haaland. Now I will be having Salah definitely, and I'll probably go for Haaland as well for captaincy rotation. If you take a look at my captaincy matrix, I believe they're the best captains to rotate in the first 4 game weeks, then I'll decide whether I sell them or not after that to bring in new captaincy options. But it's important to remember that I'm not locking in these captains right now, and I'm not locking the players into my team. I will be publishing the best captain videos again ahead of every game week with all the thorough data analysis. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss them. For game week 2 captaincy, it would be nice to captain Haaland against Ipswich Town, especially with only 30% ownership. I do think that figure will rise with all the casual players coming in before game week 1, but for now, a lot of the engaged managers haven't even put him in the team. The obvious downside of having a £15 million player in the team is that you do have to go for cheaper options. Now 2 of them for me are going to be Muniz for 6 mil and Andreas for 5.5 mil, and that's because Fulham have got the best opening fixtures in the whole league from an attacking perspective, especially with those first 4. Providing they're both fit and playing, my prediction is both of these players will provide good value for money with these favourable opening fixtures and the cheap price tags that they provide, plus the underlying stats are decent. Pereira's got 0.4 non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90 minutes, plus it looks like he's going to be on penalty duties as well. As for Muniz, he's on 0.61 per 90 minutes. Now he did have a couple of early subs towards the end of last season. I'm not sure if that was to do with fitness or Fulham's league position, but I will track his expected minutes before game week 1. Another midfielder that can help me fund Haaland is Eze. I really don't mind having him in my team, especially at 7 mil. I think he's going to provide good value for money as well. And if you look at the attack fixture difficulty ratings I provided earlier, Palace are right the way up there. Theirs are favourable. They're the 4th best in the league. I did consider Gordon for £0.5 mil more, but I do like the fact that Eze is on penalty duties, and in this tight budget team, I do get to save £0.5 mil. There are a couple of cheaper options that I've considered as well. There's Nkunku for Chelsea, who's got the potential to be a game breaker, but Chelsea have got difficult opening fixtures, and he didn't get many minutes last season because of his injury, so I just want to assess him first, then I'll bring him in if he's looking promising. The other 6.5 mil midfielder that I considered was Gibbs White. He's a similar option to Eze, provides decent underlying stats, and he's on penalty duties, and the opening fixtures aren't too bad, but I still prefer Eze overall. There's a massive chance I'm going to have Eze in my team come game week 1. I might even have both of them. In the goalkeeper position, I've gone for another Palace player. That's Henderson. He's only 4.5 mil, and I think that is an absolute bargain for a Palace goalkeeper. If you look at their underlying stats last season, they've got the 4th best in the whole league. That's behind Liverpool, City and Arsenal. The fixture difficulty ratings are decent from a defensive perspective as well. There's only Chelsea away, which is difficult out of the first 6. As for the backup goalkeeper position, I've gone for Turner for 4 mil. I don't think there is actually a nailed goalkeeper at that price tag at the minute, but we will have to keep looking into it and doing some research. Turner did play over 1,500 minutes for Forest last season, so there is a chance he'll play, but I'm not confident about that. He is competing with 2 other goalkeepers. The £4 million defenders on the bench are Harwood Bellis, who played 40 games for Southampton last season, and he does seem nailed, and Fast from Leicester, who played 43 games for them last season as well. If you want a different Southampton defender to Harwood Bellis, the alternative is to go for Bednarek. He also played 39 games for them last season. Now you could also go for the Ipswich defence, and I've got nothing against that. It's just they're quite similar to Southampton and Leicester. You could go for Greaves, he's nailed at centre-back. He played 43 games for them last season. Another one is Burgess, who could start. He played 49 games for them last season, but Greaves looks more likely to start. Another option is Johnson, who will probably be starting at right back, which is more ideal as a full-back. He's not quite as nailed, but he did turn down a contract at West Ham, and the purpose of that was to get more minutes. So let's track him in pre-season, because he will probably get one of those 2 spots on the bench if he does play in pre-season. Another £4 million defender to monitor in pre-season is Barco. Now Estupiñán's expected to miss the first month or so of the Premier League, and there is a chance that he could be starting at left back for Brighton. Now obviously that will probably have the highest upside out of all of these options. Something that we do have to consider is that Brighton could bring in another left back, even after game week 1 deadline. Then you've also got to consider, after a month or so, when Estupiñán gets straight back into that team, because he probably will, then you're going to have to make a transfer. And now that we can bank up to 5 transfers, Do you really want to spend one on fixing your bench in the first few game weeks for a player that probably won't even sub on? I don't think it's worth it. I'd rather pick players with the highest expected minutes and then focus my transfers on the rest of my team, especially in attack. Another option to consider is Mosquera from Wolves. Now Kilman's left to West Ham, there is a chance he could be playing at centre-back, but we need to look at the incoming transfers and the minutes in pre-season. From a 4.5 mil midfielder, I have gone for Winks. He played over 4,000 minutes for Leicester in the Championship last season. I'm hoping he continues those minutes this season. Right now I don't think it's as clear the pool of players for the 4.5 mil attackers. I think it's easier for the 4 mil defenders, but of course we've got the whole of pre-season to gather data. In defence, I want to target the 3 strongest defences in the whole league, therefore I can spend all my transfers in attack, and I do think that's more important this season with the fact that we can roll up to 5 free transfers. I don't want to spend any of them on the bench and the least possible on my defence. That way it's easier to jump on attacking players when they've got a higher upside, and attacking players have a higher ceiling than defensive players. Regarding my selections, they are just placeholders for now. If you look at Arsenal, Saliba, Gabriel and White are all at least 6 mil. I want that 4th starting defender, which is cheaper than that baseline. The same applies to Liverpool, where Trent, Van Dijk and Robertson are all at least 6 mil, and that 4th defender is a maximum of 5 mil. And I really hope it's established clearly in pre-season who that 4th defender is going to be, because 5 mil for a Liverpool defender is a bargain. Lastly, for City, you can get Walker, Akanji, Ake, Diaz, Stones or Cancelo for 5.5 mil. Now right now we have gone for Ake, but I will assess it again in pre-season, see who's most nailed, but for now it was between Ake and Diaz, and I preferred the underlying stats for Ake because he is slightly more versatile. Now someone who I might take a punt on with Liverpool's favourable attacking fixtures is Darwin Núñez for just 7.5 mil. I think there's potential there to provide good value for money providing he does get the minutes. He had the second highest non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes in the whole league. Of course he hit the woodwork countless times. I think it was about 9, which was record breaking. Now imagine if all of those goals had gone in. Some of them you could say, alright, fair enough, he should have put it in. But I think most of them he was quite unlucky. That would have increased his goal tally. And I do think it would have influenced a lot of people's opinions as well. In my opinion, it's only a matter of time until those expected numbers start showing through. Another forward that I strongly considered was Isak. Now if I went without Haaland, it would be easy to fit him in, but he is a full 1 mil more than Darwin, and he's 2.5 mil more than Muniz, so it would be really difficult to squeeze him in there, and this applies even more so to Watkins, who's 9 mil. For my last premium midfielder, I considered Saka, Son and Foden, but unfortunately, at this point I couldn't afford Saka or Son, who are both on penalty duties that I really like, so I've gone for Foden for 9.5 mil, but I do like the fact that City have got slightly better fixtures. One thing that I might consider is that I might sell someone else in my team, downgrade them by 0.5 mil, and start the season with Saka or Son, but I don't think there's much between the 3 of them. That's because Foden's 0.5 mil cheaper. If you found this video informative, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future pre-season content.